It's that time of year where we're going to be walking around asking for tricks and for treats and candy, or following our kids around, which means we should be sporting some fun Halloween inspired tie-dye shirts to get into the festivities. Now in our video today, I'm going to walk you through how to make a Halloween inspired shirt, but we're going to do it two ways. We're going to run an experiment. One is going to be on a rack and one is going to be done in the muck, which means we're going to leave it in that ice water. It's kind of scary. It looks like it's not going to work, but it actually turned out pretty good in this one. Can't wait to show you. My name's Nate, and as always, I like to keep track of all the details so I can learn from it and share it with you. I'll probably forget something important, but that's just, that's what happens. Let's get into it. I'm a hot dog. Look at me. It's that time of year. The leaves are turning, the air is crisp, and for those of us on the East Coast of the US, that humidity, it's finally giving in a bit. It's officially fall. And what better way to get into the spirit of the season than with some Halloween-inspired tie-dye? I started by testing the standard Halloween colors, orange, black, purple, and green, on some bandanas for my dog. And now I'm not going to spend too much time in how I made these, as they were really just proof of concept tests to see if these colors could work together, which they do to some extent. So let's go ahead and get into the shirts. My wife wanted a Halloween shirt with these exact colors, so I was going to make two, one for myself as well. Now, as this is going to be my first time using these exact colors together, I wanted to start with a baseline and then go from there. So what we're going to do is a standard spiral with even amounts of dye on each slice. Now, with 4 colors, I like to do 2 spirals per color, so 4 times 2 is 8. So we're going to do 8 slices, as you can see on the screen. Now, orange, purple, and green, let's talk about them for a second because they are considered secondary colors on the color wheel. They're derived from mixing 2 primary colors. With tie-dye, all secondary colors, all they are is just the primary colors mixed together, the actual dye pigments of the primary colors mixed together in different ratios. And when we mix all of the primary colors and their dye pigments together, which is something we're about to do, we typically get a brown or a gray, which is generally a huge no-no when it comes to tie-dyeing. However, I'm going to do it anyways. Now, while I do love a nice shade of brown, I don't want too much on these shirts. Orange, it's already very brown. It has a lot of that brown feel to it. And fall, it does have all those earthy shades associated with it. But my goal here is not a brown shirt. It's a Halloween vibrant shirt. So as I apply the dye, I have to think about how to minimize the brown. So what I did here is I left some white space on the shirt between the color pie slices. The idea here is that this will allow the dye to wick as the ice melts. The dye will wick into the white space and mix without the colors being so concentrated and so forcefully mixing. It'll be like a light mixing. I don't know, or that's my theory. I'm gonna try it. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. The goal here is to minimize the brown, but not eliminate it completely. Now, while I was doing this, I also decided, you know what? Let's run another experiment. Let's see one on the rack and then one in the muck. And I want to see how that muck, it's going to impact the brown colors as well as how it will compare to the rack dye in general. So let's go ahead and get started with that. After the dye has been applied and the muck and rack experiment set up, it's time to add the ice. After adding the ice, I'll sprinkle on some soda ash as well to ensure the pH stays high while the water melts and travels through the shirt. A key thing for Procyon dyes that we're using today. Now for the rack dyed shirt, after the ice has been melted, I like to wrap it in plastic wrap and let it sit for at least 24 hours. For the muck, let's look at some in-process photos. I find this part really fascinating. Will this dark liquid overpower the shirt and turn it all that one mucky color? As of right now, it doesn't look like it. Those colors at the top, they look very vibrant. However, since the muck only goes halfway up the shirt, it's a total guess as to how this will impact the rest of it because we can't touch it. We can't touch this container once we add the ice. And so we won't know the outcome until we do the washout, which, lucky for you, is right now. Let's see how the shirts came out. Boo! Hope I didn't scare you. Just trick-or-treating here, looking for some candy or some likes and subscribes. If you have any feel free to put them in the bag. All right, back to the video. It's always fun to see how the colors compare when we do that wet reveal versus the wash and dried. Now this shirt, it came out really neat. I love the black lines going through the orange. Even though that doesn't happen near the top, it's still really nice near the bottom. I also like the color gradation of the black. You see a little blue in there. Also, is that a little pumpkin in the center that somehow, I would not be able to do that again if I tried. Now, let's talk about what I don't like, because it's always important to think about how we can improve. So what I don't like is that the spiral seems a bit uneven to me somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. Also, this has happened before. That orange, kind of a little bee, has overpowered the purple and the green. That green is barely there. Now, it's still a fun shirt, and I love it, but when I look at these colors together, they clash, and it might not be in a good way, but it is definitely in a Halloween way, and it gives you that spooky feeling because the colors don't combine well. Now, let's look at the Muck dyed shirt. Now remember, this shirt, it has the exact same ratio of dye by weight. That's how I do these things. And it has the exact same dye placement. So they should, quote unquote, look the same, right? Well, this shirt, it looks very different. The colors, the way they play together under the water, totally different than with the ice melting through it. This electric green, man, it's giving a great fight against that orange. Not like the rack dyed one. The Muck, it seemed to stay better. And we even see some color splits in that green with that turquoise peeking through, which I really like. Now, oddly, as this was in the Muck, there is also a lot of white in the shirt, which you notice on the rack, we didn't get any. Now, that white, I think, works well here. Because, if we zoom in on the center just a little bit, we see that sliver of electric green that helps tie the whole thing together. I see an evil eye. That's what I see, of like some undead monster. And then I see a grin, kind of like from the side, and I see like a toothy grin like this. This could be in some horror movie. I don't know, that's me. I have an active imagination. This seems pretty Halloween to me. What do you think? Now, if I were to do these shirts again, which I will at some point, let's talk about some changes I'd make. These four colors put together, they do create a tension, which is not always something you want to do. And so how can we eliminate that tension? And one way is going to be to just do orange and black and just do that classic Halloween color scheme, which is going to be my next video. Now let's pause a second. I spent a lot of time talking about that brown and avoiding brown, but not eliminating it. If you did not think any negative thoughts about the brown in the shirt, then our goal of minimizing but not eliminating the brown worked. Let's go back and look at some. Now on the Muck dyed shirt, I see some near the center and also between the green and the orange, and I think it's such a nice, great shade of brown. Especially as the green and orange are so vibrant in this Muck dyed shirt. Those little brown shades really add some Halloween fall feel to this shirt. Now on the rack dyed shirt, we can also see some between the orange and the green, and it also looks really good. And I now notice when I look at this, thinking about how the orange and the green turn into brown, when we go near the center of that shirt, that orange turns more brown because that's where the green was. And so you get this ochre shade. However, we didn't get any green there, which, is a bit sad. That could be something for next time. Now, overall, I wouldn't change the technique in limiting the brown, but I might change the dye amounts to try and get more green near the center so that we can see a better gradient. Maybe minimize the orange. That's for another video, another experiment. As always, thanks for watching. I can't wait to show you the next Halloween shirt I made. It came out real nice.